to WRPB and WRPB Studios. You know, you guys have been following me for years, and it's kind of ironic that the things that I go through, like everybody, changes the path that we take. And the world seems to run in one direction, and all of a sudden it stops on a dime, and you have to make a plan to run in another direction. With me is Miriam Calla Morissette.
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
Which is amazing for me. At this old age, to remember anything is brutal. All right. You are a notary?
I'm a notary. I'm a mobile notary.
Okay. So, how does that differ? Because you've been doing it, how many years have you been doing it?
13 years.
Okay. So, were you a mobile notary 13 years ago?
Yes, I always was.
Okay.
Just since 2010, the options that are available to notaries have opened up quite a bit. There's a lot of niche work.
Okay. What's interesting is, because in my memory, because I mean, you use a notary when you need a notary, and most of the time, in my thoughts, I used a notary, and I went to the notary, and there wasn't no mobile notaries back probably before 2010.
Well, I think that it's been around for people that are immobile.
Okay.
So people who are in nursing homes and rehab facilities definitely take advantage, or just in the hospital, will take advantage of if there's a power of attorney or a health directive or something like that that needs to be notarized and they can't leave. Those are the kind of facilities that'll use a mobile notary.
So, you just said now there's a bunch of niches within the industry, such as?
So we're being trained to notarize and deliver trust documents. So we're getting into the estate planning world
Okay.
with attorneys, where we're learning. Well, we can't give legal advice, but we're learning the documents so we know what we're looking at. And yes, maybe the attorney has a notary in their office, but again, if the situation calls for somebody mobile and that person has been trained on the documents, an attorney likely will hire somebody like me.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because prior to meeting you, I'm in the middle of a lawsuit for my mom, because the assisted living facility started her illness, and though I don't like to sue anybody, they won't admit anything.
Right.
So you got to hit them in their pocket. So I now had to go to an attorney. Now, I wouldn't use an attorney here because I have this thing that the attorneys were all in cahoots with one another.
Mm-hmm.
So I got an attorney in Miami. So we send paperwork back and forth. Well, they sent me all these 4 pages that need to be notarized. Well, I wasn't going to go down to his office.
Right.
So, because I do so many network and I know so many people, somebody came here and did the notarized
Somebody
it
you
for
knew
me.
already.
Yeah. Well, actually, the young lady I just hired
Yeah.
is a notary also.
Okay.
So, but it made my life so much easier.
Yes, there are people who are not immobile,
Right.
but still use the services now all the time because it's more convenient for them to have somebody come to them than them have to go travel.
And I think that there are rules that you have to follow. One being the amount you can charge, correct?
Yes and no. Every state is different.
Okay, well,
And when it comes to where you're doing more than just notarizing,
Right.
you're traveling, you're printing documents, maybe you're doing some delivering of documents as well. So that makes the fee a gray area.
okay, but the basic notary fee, for argument's sake, is governed by
By the state.
the state.
Yeah. And the last time I checked, it was like a $10 per signature.
Right.
Again, when somebody calls me, they're going to ask me for an overall quote. And
Right.
I'm going to give them a quote.
Right. Well, how many pages I need to notarize?
Well, how many notarizations, but, then also take into consideration, obviously the distance I have to travel, the amount of printing, what's my follow-up afterwards? Also, if I'm dealing with an individual as opposed to another company, there are companies out there called signing agencies who will hire me as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and then of course they take a cut. So,
Uh,
it's so
and
much going
attorneys.
on. Yeah, well, and attorneys, I'd love to work with attorneys directly, because they just, well, they just seem more fair, believe it or not, as far as, the fees and understanding what my work entails and my time.
Why would they care? Because they're just going to charge their client. Okay, they'll pass it on to their client.
I guess that's true. Yes.
And I have the philosophy that everybody's entitled to make a living.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
and in today's day and age, if you have to travel, it's not just the miles anymore, because the miles, then you got to add the fuel prices are ridiculous.
Yeah.
So time,
Yeah.
the mileage, the wear and tear on the car, and the fuel. Okay, so between you and I, if I were a notary working and I had to go to, we're in on the Treasure Coast, and I had to go to Boynton Beach, that wouldn't be a $10 fee.
Oh gosh, no.
Okay, and sometimes things have to be done like ASAP, right? Okay, because you only have a certain amount of days for them to get the paperwork in. And,
Well, yes, there's timelines. That's why I have the name 24/7, because I do consider myself to be quite flexible. I'm not, I haven't gotten calls at 3 a.m. necessarily, but I would take late night calls if I needed to. I would definitely weekends.
yeah, that weekend work is, I'm past that, right? I can't do the weekend work anymore. Okay, so the papers that you notarize could be anything from a real estate transaction, a legal transaction.
Yep.
What else gets notarized?
Well, again, there's a lot of title work. There can be like auto and even boat title work, which I understand that's kind of considered real estate. But, I get involved in I-9s, like immigration paperwork,
I know very well my wife is in the system.
as well as adoption paperwork.
Oh yeah, I don't think we think anywhere past. Honestly, I don't think we think anywhere past real estate. Most people think
Right.
notary, real estate, they go basically together. But obviously, there's other places that you need a notary.
And the thing is too is that people who don't understand will say, "Oh, I can just go to the bank and have that notarized." Well, more and more banks, well, definitely they were not going to get into. They're not going to get into things like power of attorneys or wills or immigration and adoption paperwork. They're not going to do any of that.
But why? So, first of all, I don't. If you bank with Bank A and you need something notarized and you buy Bank B, they're going to charge you. If they'll even do
If
it.
they'll even do it.
Right.
That's correct.
Because you take on a responsibility every time you notarize something, right?
Right. The same thing goes for UPS, by the way, and all those other pack and ship places
Right.
that say we notarize.
Right.
It's very limited to what they'll notarize.
You have to be licensed and bonded, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. And is that process difficult for people to do?
Not really. No. Taking the test and getting your stamp. In all honesty, I believe mostly anybody can do it. It's keeping up on the laws, because they're changing all the time, just like everything else.
Yep.
And being willing to take the responsibility, because if you do something wrong, it will come back on you.
And I hate to say it, there's things that we don't touch upon because we didn't have some of these issues in the past. Going to somebody's house that you don't know to notarize something has its dangers in today's world.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you have to be so careful. And then, like we said, driving is brutal. And I don't care how much, if I was a notary, I don't care how much you pay me, I wouldn't drive to Miami, no matter how much you paid me. Okay?
No, I won't go to Miami either.
So, which opens up the door of what's your area that you really like to cover?
Again, for the right amount of money, I guess. I mean, I would go as far as Palm Beach County
Right.
to the south. I will go to Vero, so part of Indian River County, and I will go to Okeechobee County. I have done it in the past, but again, it has to be for a fair price.
Right, you gotta make up the gas and the
Yes.
time and.
But I
wheel
will
time.
travel, and of course, Martin and St. Lucie.
Right, and that's your hub, right?
Yeah,
Martin St.
Martin
Lucie?
and St. Lucie, right.
Do you see I mean, you said something that kind of struck me. You said you have to keep up on the laws and the regulations. Do they constantly change?
Well, when you say constantly, I mean, it seems as if the state attorney does come out with some sort of update every 3 to 4 years.
I mean, most of us think that you come, you watch me sign a piece of paper, and you get paid and you leave. But it's really more than that, right? Because you have to prove it's me.
Yep.
So I need to have ID.
And there's like a whole book just on Florida Notary, just for Florida, and it explains in there, how to read a driver's license honestly, or how to recognize a fake driver's license.
Yeah, I mean,
You have to know that.
because it's one thing for me signing a piece of paper and giving it, and it's another thing when someone else has to be responsible about the notary part, proving that it's you. And so basically, if someone has to have something notarized, they need to make sure they don't sign it until you get there, correct?
Oh, they can't.
You have to see them.
I have to watch them. So I'm a witness as well.
Okay,
I have to witness their signature.
All
If
right.
they sign beforehand, it's
no good.
No good.
Okay. We're getting to the top of our time. How do people find you? They can call you?
They can call me. I do have a website that is in process, but in the meantime, my phone number is 772-932-1214, or my email address, mcmnotary@outlook.com.
This is so important. Always, always, always use a professional. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. You can get into so much trouble if you play around with something that has to be notarized, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And that house of cards will probably cost you, besides money, I guess it can cost you jail time.
Depending on the level of the what would you call it? Fraud.
Right.
I guess we'd call it, right?
Right. So use a professional. If you have a question, give her a call. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer any
Absolutely,
questions that you
absolutely.
have. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Everybody will be right back.